Happy Tuesday night, all. I do apologize for not getting a video out last week. I had all the intention in the world to get to it, and then all of a sudden it was Sunday morning, and I was watching the London game and said, well, it's probably too late now. Last week was a pretty full week, and this week's looking to be about the same. So most of this league script was actually written last night, starting about 8 p.m., while the games were still going on. If my calendar fullness continues, the Monday night script writing or entire full videos could become the trend. Not so much for jokes this week. With recording this right after the conclusion of the Monday night game, I was tired. I didn't have a lot of time to think about, jokes to mock people about. And now being in Tuesday, well, the jokes that I did come up, they're not looking a whole lot better.
Okay. No, these are funny jokes.
Before we get to Week 6's games, props to Pope 1.0 for his Week 5 high score. With just 5 weeks in the books, he's already covered his league fees for the year. Here in Week 6, the high-scoring team is Brandon's Blown Call. Brandon's Blown Call easily coasted past Nick's T-Bowling for Columbine 147.6 to 98.5, a 49.1 point margin of victory. Raheem Mostert's 37.2 points against Carolina led all players in scoring this week. Adam Thielen added 28.5 at wide receiver, followed by a pair of 18-point games from Harrison Butker and Jalen Waddle. You could have had an even better game by getting Rashid Shaheem in instead of Gabe Davis. That would have been another 16-point swing in your favor. This is Brandon's second high scorer prize so far this season. So Scott's got 3, Brandon's got 2. Alex is the only one that snuck in to grab one other one so far through 6 weeks.
Hey, save some for the rest of us, Alky.
For Nick, you got 20 points from Stephon Diggs and a trio of 17-point games from Patrick Mahomes, Jacoby Myers, and Alvin Kamara. Also, Kansas City's defense scored 16.2 as well. It does look like that you missed that Zay Jones got ruled out on Friday and failed to get him out of your flex spot. You could have gotten Josh Downs and his 13.1 into your flex, but you still weren't going to touch Brandon in this one. This game was both the top score and the biggest blowout this week. Week 6's closest game featured Drew's 49 problems, giving Will's You Suck McBain a problem, 97.4 to 91.8, a 5.6 point margin of victory. Drew got 25.4 points from Jared Goff to lead his team, followed by 14.3 from Kyle Pitts, 13.9 from Christian Kirk, 12.6 from Daniel Carlson, and 11.3 from Josh Jacobs. You had the right starter in as Goff's 25.4 points outpaced another solid week from Sam Howell on your bench. For Will, you got 24.5 from Drake London, 16.1 from Kareem Hunt, 14 from Jamar Chase, and 13.9 from Josh Allen. This matchup really came down to Damian Harris's injury, leading to him just getting 1/10 of a point. Now, to be fair, he's only had 1 game so far this season over 10 points, and you would have needed 6 to get a win here. But the injury immediately killed your chances of getting that. Bad week for you in terms of running back depth, as Jalen Warren was on bye, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeff Wilson, and Khalil Herbert were all out with injuries, and Samaje Perine continues to be losing the backup role in Denver to Jaleel McLaughlin. Elsewhere around the league, Derek's fucked up but on purpose took down Lee's very happy ending 103.7 to 94.3. Derek had a pretty solid week across the board, with A.J. Brown's 23.1 points leading the team, followed by 4 other scorers in double digits. Unfortunately, Justin Fields wasn't one of them, scoring just 4.9 points prior to injuring his hand against the Vikings. Lee got 19.3 from Derrick Henry, 17 from Garrett Wilson, 13 from Miami's defense, and a pair of 11-point games from Evan Ingram and Brandon Ayuk. Lee needed a big week on Monday Night Football from Dicker the kicker, but came up about 9 points short, with Dicker just scoring 2 PATs and 24 yards of field goals. So if you got to blame someone for the loss,
It was Dicker!
Aaron's picking so bad it hurts took down Tom's ruptured Chubb 134.3 to 96, a 37.3 point margin of victory. Aaron had a very good week, getting 24.8 from Kyron Williams, 20.3 from Breece Hall, 19.9 from Jalen Hurts, 17.8 from DeAndre Swift, and 16.6 from Chris Olave. Tom got a pair of 19-point games from the Jacksonville Jaguars defense and from Michael Pittman Jr., followed by 15.2 from Brent Maher and 14.2 from C.J. Stroud. You could have snagged another 10 points by getting D-Hop out of your flex in favor of Chris Godwin, but you didn't have the points to hang with Aaron this week. At the time when I started writing these recaps, Trent's JT Make Me a Great Again and Pope's 2.0's Poo-Poo was the only matchup that was still truly in the air to see who was going to win. Pope 2.0 ended up coming out on top by a score of 132.9 to 120.7. Pope 2.0 was led by 30.8 from Cooper Kupp in his return to dominance in the wide receiver classification. The Chargers helped you run down Trent in this matchup, getting 19.1 from Justin Herbert and 21.5 from Keenan Allen. You needed all of it to slide past him as you finally took a lead in the matchup near the 5-minute mark of the third quarter, holding on for good when Herbert and Allen connected a couple more times on that drive right before getting a field goal. You did have your best possible lineup in, having no players on your bench who scored more than a starter. Trent got 31.3 from Tyreek Hill to lead his squad in scoring, followed by a pair of 17-point games from Zay Flowers and Zach Moss. JT still can't figure out how to make you great again, despite scoring 11.5 points this week. It does look like you opted for the wrong third running back after the 2 Colts that you started this week. Jaleel McLaughlin put up just 6.2 points for you in the starting lineup, while Chuba Hubbard scored 16.6 on your bench. My Puka Smurf defeated Chris's Minnesota Fanboy 103 to 81.7. I got 21.4 from Travis Kelce, 14.1 from Terry McLaurin, and 13.2 from Matthew Stafford. There was also 17 from Tony Pollard on Monday night. I could have gotten a better game by getting Saquon in over Deontay Foreman, but I wasn't sure he was actually going to play on Sunday night and really didn't have a backup if he didn't, so I kind of have to live with it. Also, Tyler Lockett would have been a better option than either Calvin Ridley or Puka. Weirdly, I had 3 different starters score exactly 6.6 points this week. Puka and Calvin Ridley at wide receiver, and Kaimi Forbairn at the kicking spot. Chris got 16.7 from Justin Tucker, who makes me nervous anytime I'm playing Chris and I watch the Baltimore game, which I did because they played that early Sunday game. 15.8 from the newly acquired Isaiah Pacheco, and 14.2 from Christian McCaffrey. If Chris wants to lay some blame for this loss, he could probably call up the Washington Commanders. The Commanders won 24-16 this week over Atlanta, but didn't help Chris out much with both Logan Thomas or Johan Dotson, who combined for just 1 catch for 2 yards here in Chris's starting lineup. The other matchup that was still ongoing with both players still scoring points, Alex's Curse of the Bambino held off Scott and Josh's Pocket Dogs 111.8 to 104. This game featured multiple players on Monday Night Football and was the last one to get a recap this week, with 4 players, 2 from each side, still putting up scoring. Alex got 30.4 from Amon-Ra St. Brown, 23.3 from Travis Etienne, and 16.8 from Tyler Boyd. Austin Eckler added 10.2, and Joe Burrow put up 13.8. Unfortunately, you did get a 0 from Jake Elliott, but it doesn't look like it hurt you here. Also, pretty rough week for George Kittle, getting just 1.1 points and on a single catch for 1 yard. Over for Scott and Josh, their team was led by 22.5 from Tua, 18.7 from CeeDee Lamb, 14.6 from the Rams defense, and 10.1 from DJ Moore. After the strong 5-0 to start the season, the injury bug appears to have bitten you pretty hard, having to start Justice Hill and Elvis DeMarcado, I believe it is, this week, who combined for just 9.2 points. Both backs on your bench would have been better options, either Antonio Gibson or Keontae Ingram. There's no waivers to talk about this week since it's still Tuesday night. Waivers will run tonight. In terms of wagers, there's a few updates there. Scott and I finally have decided that we're going to draft a team of kickers for the rest of the season. Let me know if you want to get in on that one. It'll be 4 kickers for each person, and it'll be 6-pack goes to the winner from each loser. Last week, I beat Nick in our head-to-head matchup, so he has to buy me wings and beers one of these days. This week, Derek and Lee bet a 6-pack on their matchup, with Derek getting the win. Green Bay was on a bye, so after last week's loss, I think it's going to be tough to get to a winning record this season for my bet, but I believe that getting Aaron Jones back will certainly help. And Darren Waller and the Giants still suck. Waller's currently at rank 11 in terms of total points scored and 12th in terms of average.
Worst mistake I ever made.
That's it for week 6. I'll be completely honest with you. I will see you next when I see you. I cannot guarantee that I will get to a video next week. We'll see what I can do.